Top 3 things that I learned about having my recent knee injury. Maybe 3 months ago or so, I had a full tear of my MCL, grade 3, really bad experience. The silver lining about that though is that I got to reconnect with some methods and ways and ways to go about injury, and going through that process. It's funny, I work with a lot of athletes and go through their injuries with them, and I can really sympathize how that might feel for them. But unless you go through it yourself, you don't have the same understanding. So me going through this MCL tear really allowed me to be more empathetic to the process and everything that goes on. So I just wanted to make a small post of my top 3 takeaways, or top 3 key advices that I could give when it comes to dealing with a major injury. First one would be move right away, rehab right away. I learned from talking with people in my network, from people much smarter than me, that if you move on day 2, or if you start rehab on day 2 versus day 9, you save 25% of time coming back on the back end to return to play. So I'll say that again. If you do rehab day 2 versus day 9, you save 25% on return to play. That's huge. So many times I see people making mistakes, they'll get depressed. I went through my own little thing. I was eating ice cream the first 3 days, full blast. You go through your own little pity party. It took me 3-4 days to get out of my own head, just kind of wallowing in my own sorrow. But again, the sooner you can move, the better. And that might mean your knee might be injured, but I could still do body weight leg extensions. I could still do isometric holds. I could train my other leg. If you train the other leg, you get the contralateral effect. You'll lose less muscle by training the strong leg when you're injured compared to not. And you can train your whole body. You can push, pull, you can do core, you can do all this sort of stuff. And by working out, that really helps the mental. You feel like less of a victim, and you start focusing on things that you can do versus things that you can't do. Tip number 2. Get small wins. I can't stress that enough. Part of the process of going through a major injury is mental challenges that one goes through. Sometimes you go down dark holes. You don't know if you can ever be the same again. A lot of people and athletes will tie their physicality to their worth. So if they can't do their physical thing, they're nothing. So if you can get these small wins, it really helps break down the process and put you in a better spot. For example, when I was first starting and I could barely do a body weight leg extension, and within 3 days I started adding weight. For me, that was a huge win, and it made me feel really good. You start to see that there's light at the end of the tunnel because you can envision a place where you're coming back. By also getting these small wins, other than the confidence, it builds process and consistency. Both are super important when it comes to recovering from injury. Sometimes it doesn't matter what you're doing, but just showing up and doing things on the daily, that habit, that process really goes a long way. I was making 2 daily deposits from a rehab training side for my leg when I had my injury, and I credit that process to recovering well and recovering sooner than expected, and almost being at 100% and competing again. Lastly, when there's small wins, you have goals. When you have goals and those small wins, you can picture yourself coming out of the other side of the tunnel. Tip number 3, seek support and good help. No one goes through a journey by themselves. My wife and my friends were super supportive. They were offering to walk my dog because I couldn't. My wife would set up the room so that my leg could be up and be comfortable. She was my rock, and she also just made me feel better because I felt shitty all the time. So yes, seek a support group, of people that can help. Don't be too proud that you can't, because you'll get through that whole injury experience better if you do have that support. The second part of that one is seek good help, seek good advice. A problem I see in Vietnam is people get terrible advice from professionals when they get injuries. Things that and processes that will never make them the same again. Like getting a surgery when you don't need it. Like once you cut something in your body, you're never the same again. Or I've had people put a cast on a sprained ankle, like on a 12-year-old kid. Like this is really messed up stuff. So it's really important to seek out good information. I'm really lucky with what I do. I have a really large network of physios, doctors, and trainers. And I was able to reach out to them while, right after my injury. And basically, I already know a lot about knee recovery, but just getting up to speed on the latest research, the latest procedures, the latest exercises and ideas about MCL recovery made me very confident moving forward that I can develop a plan that's going to get me the best results. Last thing on that, through my network and right away, like I didn't know if I had torn my ACL, and that's another big process. I read somewhere that it is possible to recover and come back to sport without ACL surgery if you do tear your ACL. So within 3 days, I was able to find a physio and a doctor that was doing research in Australia about non-operative ACL recoveries by using special bracing techniques and things of this nature. So I was able to pay for a consult over the phone with this physio in Australia to speak with him on a Zoom call for an hour. And I basically just learned everything that I could up to this date now in time about ACL recovery without surgery. So again, if you can have good information, good advice, you can be better prepared, make better plans, and that's going to give you confidence in this whole approach when it comes to recovering from your injury.